So, Woody, speaking of the paramotoring thing, do you want to talk about that photo you sent us today? That injury?
Oh
my God!
Because that was the most gruesome injury I've ever seen of a paramotor. You want to lay it out there? It's the kind of thing that like Kyle and I were like, what if this happens? Like,
oh God.
So if you don't know what a paramotor is at all, probably your listeners do. Maybe it's a lawn chair with a propeller on your back, and then it flies something like a parachute. The cliche for starting this thing is on your back or in a rack, right? And what you don't do is you don't just start it like a lawnmower on the ground. If for some reason this thing is at any kind of throttle at all, it blows towards you and it can hurt you. And a guy in the paramotor community, I don't know the specifics, but I know that he was ground starting it. And I have pretty high confidence that for some reason it ground started at full throttle. This happens sometimes. It's happened to me, but it was on my back because I'm smart like that.
Dummy. Yeah.
And I just turned it off. But if you start it and it blows at you like that, it's super dangerous. And this guy scalped himself. There's I'm trying to.
Oh my God!
Like this much of his head is missing,
Jesus.
and his skull stopped the propeller. He broke the propeller with his Homer Simpson head, but the picture of it is gruesome, and hair was not going to grow back.
It's like you can see skull in the photo, like just clean.
Oh wow!
Chop right off the top. So, dude, what an embarrassing. He's gonna have to lie that he was a veteran or something.
Let's go free Starbucks.
It's tempting to ground start these things. It's a terrible idea. If you're ground starting, which is to say it's not on your back, it's probably because it's not starting well. Right. You know, you're having a tricky day. It doesn't want to fire right up. Anyone who's had a lawnmower knows sometimes it's first pull, sometimes it's not. And the trouble is, like, those days when it's not working really well are also the days that it can jump at you and hurt you
and scalp you.
Yeah.
Now, how big? So there's no guard on the prop. How big is the prop?
130 centimeters. How big is that?
I'm not fucking European.
Yeah, right. I'll Google it.
A centimeter.
51 inches.
All right.
Yeah, about dick sized.
Okay. And there's no like guard. There's no guard around it.
So that's a good point. All right. Some motors, very few motors, have netting in front of it that is strong enough to protect you. Most motors have netting in front of it that is really just designed to keep the lines and the brakes from going to it.
Oh, good, yeah.
But it's not strong enough to keep like your hands from going through, or like, if you were to headbutt it, you know, the netting, imagine it being crisscross like a basket weave, but you know, looser. It'll spread open. You could like give birth to your head through it. And I don't know what kind of motor he had, but
a powerful one, I'm told.
There's really only two that have the strong netting that protects.
They called it the Comanche Scalper 4000.
So anyway, he got really hurt.
Wow.
And
I'm guessing they didn't find the scalp, because I'll tell you what, my first instinct would be like, get the scalp.
Yeah.
Get my scalp. Does someone have my scalp?
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a chance they could, because they can reattach fingers, and you know, why couldn't
prop? It probably ripped off, and the prop flung it like a frisbee.
Go get it. Go get it. Yeah, that's my hair. Like, you know what? I parted this way. We could put it back on at an angle so it comes out.
Yeah.
He's ended up looking like this.
No, he wishes he looks like that now. He doesn't have any of that coverage.
Your shit's broken up. You're all fucked up. It's audio and video. Yeah, that's awful though. There's those YouTube channels that do like worst ways to die, and apparently one of the most painful things that can happen to you is scalping. Something about the blood flow or something, and the fact that it just keeps hurting day after day and doesn't really heal right.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that sucks. Yeah, I know that. Like facial injuries and stuff, they tend to bleed a lot more than the rest of your body.
A lot of blood vessels up there.
Scalp injuries are like crazy bleeders.
Yeah,
you get a little ding in your head, it's just pouring down your face. Someone looks and he goes, "Oh, that's nothing."
That's
I mean, the
you see it in
WW
fighting a lot.
Yes, with the razor blades, and they cut themselves.
They just take a little blade and they make a little nick right in their hair,
Right.
and it would bleed so profusely that like at home it looks like this guy's taking a beating. Yeah, good stuff. It's home entertainment.
Great.
I watch MMA a lot, and people, get elbows to the hair, and it just bleeds like crazy when it cuts them.
Jesus
so,
Christ.
But yeah, that poor guy. He's disfigured, really. Like,
how much fuel do you carry with you?
So the legal limit's 5 gallons, but mine is like 3 something.
And that lasts for what? Flying around average? If you're just...
So if I were to stretch it with an efficient wing and stuff, I could make it for like 4 hours, but I tend to like 1 hour flights. So
you must. Is it tiring?
It's not really that tiring. It can be if you do acrobatics, which I do. But
oh my goodness, I don't like hearing that.
We should go for a tandem. I'll fucking take you upside down.
Woody has a backup parachute that he sometimes has to throw because he's quote unquote going down.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had an incident. I was practicing a move I hadn't quite mastered yet on a wing that was fairly new to me. That was the root bad decision making that led to all this. And I was just in this configuration where the wing and I were spinning, right? Like picture the center of it being the I don't know, what do you say, the center point, and the wing and I spinning around it. And I spent a lot of my altitude trying to fix it, trying to get the wing to fly again. Probably maybe 900 feet off the ground. I was like, I can't fix this. I'm running out of altitude. And I throw my reserve chute and it doesn't work.
No.
The wing collects the reserve chute and now it's just 2 piles of laundry. And I briefly was like, if I throw this other reserve, I don't have any more reserves. Maybe I should keep it so I still have a reserve when I land. But I threw the other one and it just worked. And I wasn't under reserve for very long at all that time, maybe like 15 seconds. And there's something called a PLF fall. When you land, like say you're drifting this way, the idea is that you land on your feet, your calf, your hip, your ribs, your arms, and just sort of like roll into it. It's a parachute landing fall. My
brother was the 82nd Airborne. Maybe I remember hearing about that one. Yeah.
I'm trying to determine how I'm going to PLF, and I am going straight down. Like there is no wind at all.
Oh
and
no!
I'm just like, how do I even roll? I don't know. Like I'm just
collapse.
I end up going like feet, butt, propeller. Like I'm on my back, and then I'm stuck there like a turtle, just attached to my paramotor, strapped in, and I'm like, I can't get up, so I have to unstrap and crawl away from everything, and I'm just shocked that
do you cut the throttle before you land?
In this case I cut the throttle before I started.
I'm fascinated by this, by the way.
But I cut the throttle at about 100 feet every time.
So you just
what I do is I make this like contract with myself. I'm like a half a mile away at 2,000 feet and I don't want to touch the throttle again. I am practicing landing with a motor out every time I land. And unless something goes wrong, I don't touch the throttle for the last like 15 minutes of the flight. If something does go wrong, you can always go round.
Wow, 15 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't think I'm exaggerating. So then, and then once I'm at like 100 feet, 50 feet, and I know with confidence I'm going to land in a good spot, I turn it off. So, because I don't want to land. Well, I do sometimes land under power. Like if the situation,
I wouldn't want that fucking thing running anywhere near when I have to land running on my feet. You don't know, you ass over tea kettle, and then that thing Cuisinarts your fucking head.
It goes the other way too, though. Like what if you're in your last 25 feet and there's something you don't like?
And then you gotta
sink or
go
something
around
like that. You can go around.
Jesus.
So if the conditions are not smooth, I might leave it running.
That guy's gonna be wearing a lot of hats.
He is. That's his new look.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Did he have a lot of hair before?
I'm not sure.
I hope not.
Yeah,
That'd
I
hopefully,
wish a big loss. Yeah, I was in such a rush to get ready, but I saw that picture but somehow I've forgotten about it until Taylor just brought it up. But yeah, that's fucking gruesome. It's fucking gruesome.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah. So Zach, please don't share this picture, but I'm going to give it to Anthony. I think it's too gruesome for YouTube, really.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh my God! Wow,
Yeah,
That's
Brutal.
terrible. Holy shit!
it's not really
shot
to
meat.
the audience's benefit. Like, it's not really the side of the head; it's really the crown of his head.
Yeah.
It's almost centered.
It's like dead center. The whole crown. It's like, if he were if he becomes Jewish, the yarmulke will cover all this up.
A yarmulke would be.
Really, he could pass it off as male pattern baldness almost. Like now he's got the horse.
Yeah, except there's a skull underneath instead of pink skin.
Fuck.
Yeah, you know how people go bald with jagged edges and huge amounts of pink scar
I'm going to
tissue.
be banned
Wow.
from the paramotor community for your jokes.
It's gonna happen to you all. Your hobby's silly.
They can't ban you. You're too, in that world. What are you too big to fail?
Is that what I have?
You're like Fannie Mae. They can't take you down. You're the
Right.
one bringing the attention to it.
There's a culture in aviation where people share their mistakes, and hopefully you learn from what I've done wrong. And like I shared that reserve throw thing. Like I told everyone about it. I made a video so that, they just know the risks that are associated with acro and risky decisions. That's why he shared it. So other people, it seems like 3-4 people a year ground start and chew themselves up with the prop.
Oh God! You have 2 reserves.
I do, but I'm unusual in that way. Most people have 0 or 1.
That's crazy.
I
Zero?
have 2. Yeah. They had a lot
I
of people
love that you have
justify-
2.
Yeah, I have
And
2.
you
Not only
needed
did he
it.
have to, but he needed it. Yeah.
He needed to. That's
Yeah.
insane, man.
Yeah.
You should be an instructor. You'd be safer than any of these bozos.
Some
My
people
name's
would disagree.
Parachute Bat.
I
That's
take
right,
a lot of
carry-
risk and mitigate a lot
I
of
carry
risk.
17 extra parachutes.
Yeah, it's just reserves all over.
It's just parachutes. That's all that's in that bag, son.
I decided to lose the engine part of it. Too dangerous. Now I just run across my yard as fast as I can. It's more of a cardio exercise.
Holy shit.
You never get flying.
But I know what you mean. Like, you run out of good episodes. You know what show is notorious for that? I love Air Disasters. Air Disasters is a show.
I've never seen that.
It's got some amazing kind of Microsoft Flight Simulator type graphics. So they're able to really make these things and in detail look exactly what happened. And they have dramatizations of inside the planes, and they crash for some reason, and then the NTSA gets up there and has to figure out what went wrong. And they go through, everything, equipment failure. They go through the pilot's records, all these things. Now, there have been, over the course of the years, some spectacular air disasters.
Mhm.
And once you're through with all of those, like, the technology itself has gotten so good of late that there aren't really a lot of these spectacular airliners that go down anymore, especially in this country. There's, overseas, some of the planes aren't maintained that well, and they do cover some of those. But you start getting to, this guy, a tire fell off on his Cessna. Let's cover that. You're like, it's not as exciting as an L-1011 nosing in at an airport in 75.
I'm looking at season 1 versus season 14 on the Smithsonian channel.
Yeah.
Season 14, there's an episode called Killer in the Cockpit, and I guarantee it's like, no, it was an electrical problem.
They landed.
Yeah.
I fly paramotors. Now, to say that makes me
I
a
remember when you
pilot is like
started
saying that someone who enjoys kayaks is a boat captain. Kind of. But I started getting into like other aviation stuff, and I watched content like you mentioned. People who were calling air traffic control and getting help. Some of the coolest ones are when the actual pilot dies and then passengers take over and have to land the plane.
Right. I'll talk in.
Yeah, that really happens. And I'm
Keep your nose up.
It's the coolest thing. The guy's like, do you have any flying experience? He's like, I I took a discovery flight on a Cessna 19 years ago. This is
All
like
right.
a twin engine Beechwood or something.
Yeah,
He doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know how to change the radio. So they're like using the wrong frequency.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, yeah.
But it's neat to hear air traffic controllers talk them in and land it and stuff.
Yeah. We're
Good
getting
shit.
somebody up here with you that trains people on the aircraft that you're on. Don't worry. Just give it. I heard one where a girl is just like hysterical crying. And she's up there. She was on a solo. She was on a solo. She was actually training to fly. And I think her tire fell off when she took off.
Oh, no.
Like one of her tires fell off, and she's like, we're gonna circle you around, get all the fuel out, as much fuel as you can, burn it up, and then come into land. And she was really scared at first, and then she brought it in, and they talked her in, and you could tell over the time while they're talking to her that she got a little more confidence and a little less emotional. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. People get in some weird situations.
So I'm flying my paramotor with a friend. This is like 2.5 years ago. And what you do when paramotors can fly low, and we're flying together, and we see a field, and from the sky it looks like a maze, which is super cool because you can drop down, and then you're like zooming around, going sideways, like swinging around the trees and such. I was smart. I looked at like 500 feet, and then I flew again at like 150 feet looking for power lines. And once I knew where they were, I dropped down lower. I was a little more experienced than my friend, but he was at a stage where I felt like mother henning him was insulting. Like, don't forget, you have to look for power lines. It's like, look, he's an adult. He's got hundreds of hours on this thing. And so I'm not going to tell him how to fly. He hits a power line.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's flying, and everybody knows the patterns of where a power line might be. They tend to be next to roads and leading to buildings. This one wasn't where it belonged. Like, it cut diagonally across a front yard. And so he hits a power line. The wing melts, and like the power like shuts off to the neighborhood or something. But the real damage to him was from the fall. He didn't fall that far, but he fell like, I'm going to make it up, like 12 feet, something like that, which is pretty rough. Go hop on a 12-foot ladder and drop on your ass and see how it goes. So he can't really walk too well at this point. I come in, I land, I check him out. We come up, I'm going to get his van. I'm going to pick him up. And that, like, I am spooked. In aviation, they call it a fear injury. And in spite of the fact that I have like hundreds of hours and 1,000 flights or something, I feel like I don't know how to do this anymore.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I launch and barely fucking make it. Like, you launch on your feet, and I'm like falling forward, stumbling, as thankfully I find lift and rise into the air. And there are trimmers that make it go faster and brakes. I don't want to touch anything. I suddenly have no faith in this ridiculous contraption. It's like a lawn chair and kite strings going to this thing. And like the whole way back, I'm just like, fuck.
Kyle was right.
Wow.
For a moment, you saw it the way Kyle and I have from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is launching is optional, but landing is mandatory. And I'm like, I have to fucking land this thing. Like, I can't get out of it. I can't get anyone to do it for me.
Oh my God.
Fuck, I'm in this position. I have to land this thing. I have to get his van, and I have to bring my buddy back home. And the flight is long, not long, 35 minutes, 45 minutes. And the whole time I'm just like fucking psyching myself out, knowing that this landing is coming up and knowing that there's no way to avoid it. I'm just fucking doomed. And I bring it home, and I'm like doing everything that like my first day instructors taught me. Eyes on the horizon, feet in the air, running position, delta force, one in front of the other, whatever. And I fuck up the landing, but not horribly. I like run forward a couple steps, then I fall on my knees and palms. And I'm like, well, not hurt. bonus points. My shit's not broken. And I got the van and I brought him home.
You got you got the yips.
Yeah.
You've done it a million times.
And I had it for a while too. Dude, my yeah, no, I mean, I was gonna say my next flight, my wing broke, but that was after a different incident.
No.
Through the reserves. But
what kind of injury did your buddy have?
He had some sort of hip displacement. Like, I guess your hip has like cartilage, like holding it together. So when he walked, almost like a pregnant woman, like it kind of like shifted. And he just needed to stay off his feet for a couple weeks as his hips like fused again.
Oh God!
And he's 100% fine from that. But
does he enjoy the sport still, or
he's actually an instructor now? So
my goodness!
Don't do this.
Yeah.